Right.
The question I want to ask you before we go is the rust versus rest question,
Yeah.
because we are now 2 years in, still a very small sample size. Year one, you had the seeding tied to being a conference champion for the top 4 seeds. So Boise State and Arizona State were given buys where they would not have otherwise if this is straight seeding. 7 of the 8 teams that got first round buys in the first 2 years of the 12-team playoff lost in the quarterfinals, like their first game back. This year, for a lot of these teams, it was like almost a month that they were not playing from the conference championship games to the quarterfinal games. Indiana, the mighty Hoosiers, are the one team that fought off this curse and won the game that came out. Again, they had the 3 and out, but then they were fine. A lot of teams have started slow. Georgia was also fine, by the way. They started that game fine.
Yes.
So some of the narratives around it are valid in some ways and some aren't. A lot of the times of these 8 games, the team that was favored to win won the game. So, you know, it's not like the seeding matched who was expected to win, but there were some upsets. Again, the 2 that have been stunning to us, like Ohio State and Georgia, were favored in those games that they lost. Is there anything to this, or are we just overreacting? Like,
no, I mean, I think you brought up the biggest point is, and of course Vegas can be wrong, but like some of those games played out exactly the way they were supposed to on paper. Like Penn State playing Boise last year was supposed to play out the way that it did. You know, like Oregon and Tech probably wasn't supposed to be a blowout, but like I think a lot of us were like, Oregon is a better football team than Texas Tech, even though Tech is higher seeded and they have the bye, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I don't subscribe to the rest versus rust thing. Here's the reason why. If you're a grown-ass man and you're mature and you can handle your business, if you're a coach who believes in fundamentals and you coach fundamentals during your time off, you should be better than the team that just played. You should be as healthy as you've been. Your tackling should be up to par. Your blocking technique should be great. You shouldn't have any penalties. The only thing I would worry about just a little bit is conditioning. That's probably the biggest thing. If we got into a shootout, that's where I would be nervous, because it's hard to condition like you're playing football if you don't actually play in the games. But if you're mature and you have a good plan and you got a locker room full of grown-ass men, this is not a conversation. Rust is not a conversation for me.
And it's like, I mean, even in some of the teams where people, or situations where people want to bring it up, like, oh yeah, like Texas Tech's offense, their defense was great. Defense was showed up, was ready to go. Like sometimes you're just not.
Side was rusty.
Yeah, like one side maybe, but it's like, it's interesting, because I do think a lot of the times it has been either the team that was favored to won the game, so the better team won, or you know, you just had a thriller, right? For Ole Miss and Georgia, like teams were very even both times they played.
In the case of Ohio State, Miami, like you had a key matchup that favored one team, even though they weren't the team that was favored to win. And that matchup was the biggest thing in the game.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just the matchup isn't good.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And so I'm with you. I will say though, so I wrote about this for NBCSports.com and like had a little fun with it. So half of it's cheeky. And then the other half is, if you actually are worried about this, which I don't know if the CFP will, I don't think we should do this every year where we're like, oh my God, we need to change one thing immediately, like every single year with the format. But there are 2 things that you can do if you're worried about this. You could start the CFP earlier. If you started a week earlier and the first round games are the week after conference championship games, then they're not up against the NFL, first of all. So that's important. Second of all, then every round is a little bit earlier. And you also end the playoff closer to New Year's Day than they're doing it now and stretching too late into January. So that's one. So then everyone just has a shorter turnaround, which again is good. Like in season, you're playing every week, like you're just in a rhythm, you're doing things. The other thing you could do, and you could do if you move the season up or the postseason up or not, those games could be played on campus. And that's a true advantage for the teams in the quarterfinals that are coming off their buys, because they have home field advantage. So there's a couple different things if the CFP decides this is a real problem. We have 2 years of data. It's not a lot. But a lot of people argue about this. A lot of people are going to talk about it. So like, if they feel like, oh my God, we must make a change or we must tweak something, there are your 2 answers. I'm giving them right to you if you want to.
It's a cope. It's not a problem. It
I don't
really
think it's a
isn't.
problem either.
Indiana proved it's not a problem.
Correct. Chris Ignites can prove a lot of things.
Yes, this is
And
a cope.
they had no
We
problem.
should keep it. We should move them on campus, but I don't think the rest is the issue.
I agree. I would just fix the other things and then we can stop talking about this, which would be
Yeah.
nice as well, that people had a month off.